Steam drifted in ribbons above the rabada on my grandmother's heavy porcelain. Sunday dinner was always special, a heaping, boisterous affair, squeezed into the small tiled kitchen where every surface trembled with laughter, gossip, and so many elbows you ended up touching someone just by lifting your fork. The aromas of food and soapstone mingled, the comfort of home thick as gravy. Usually it soothed me, but that night anxiety sat across from me, dressed in my Uncle Alyssa's favorite blue shirt and drinking my aunt's last drop of pride. Midway through the meal, when the conversation ebbed and my Aunt Ivan smacked her lips, I raised my voice just enough to spill into the lull. I sent my application for the Faculté d'Architecture. My sister Marissa snorted into her wine. The room's warmth sapped away, replaced by a quick chill spreading like shadow. Tio Alyssa paused, fork midair, beans balanced perfectly on the edge. My mother didn't look up from the bread she was slicing, her jaw clenching tight. "You'll always have lofty plans, Clarissa," he said, eyes glinting in the golden light. "But an architect in this city," he laughed, not kindly but in the sharp, barking way that barked more at me than with me. "What'll you build? Birdhouses?" Aunt Ivan leaned forward, silver bracelets clinking. "She means the big expensive buildings, dear, not something for the neighbor's cat." I clenched my hands under the table, pressing my nails into my palms. Yes. Buildings, houses, parks. I want to design environments where people can be happy. My father let out a slow breath through his nose, as if measuring his patience molecule by molecule. "You're good with numbers, Clarissa. Why not accounting? There's money there." "Not." He looked to the window as if what I wanted to say was flying away. "Not pipe dreams." A few cousins grinned. Someone muttered, "She'll be back with her tail between her legs." "No one will pay for you to dream, Menina," my mother said softly, not cruel but exhausted, as if hope weighed double for her. "And we're barely making ends meet." Words clung to my throat. I didn't want to argue, my voice always sounded too tremulous, but fear sharpened my spine. "I'll get a scholarship." "I already passed the first exam," I said a little louder, my voice shook. "I don't want to be stuck here repeating the same mistakes. I have to try." Silence, the kind that drops like a stone in water, echoing. I wanted to stand, to run, but I faced the table as if I'd tied myself there. For a split second I imagined reaching across, showing them the sketches in my bag, the ones I'd made of our favorite park recast as something new and beautiful. Marissa broke the silence, voice lilting. "She drew me a castle last year. Maybe I can live there with my imaginary boyfriend." Nervous laughter bubbled, my cheeks flamed. I wanted to vanish between the tiles. But instead, I nursed my pride and finished eating, listening to the knives scrape and the adults move on to other topics, my hope packed away like leftover food. That night, I heard my father's low voice through my bedroom wall. "She'll come to learn like the rest of us." But I didn't want their lessons, I wanted more. In the months that followed, rejection shadowed me. Every time Marissa asked if I'd gotten a reply from the university, I heard more goading than concern. The neighborhood kids started calling me Engendera Maluka, the crazy engineer girl, when I crouched on the corner, sketching as buses rumbled past and the jacaranda trees showered the pavements purple. I developed an armor, but some days it pinched so hard I thought I'd bleed from every pore. When the acceptance letter finally arrived, COAPROVADA, I read it twice, then a third time. My mother sat at the kitchen table and didn't smile but didn't look away either. I took her silence as permission. The city swallowed me whole. The campus was split between new glass towers and stately old colonial remains, stubborn against the surge of time. I was the only girl from my neighborhood. Most of the others had grown up with nannied afternoons and bookshelves stacked with real architecture. Their hands were soft, mine were rough from helping lay tile and carrying bricks with my father. I spent nights hunched over blueprints, fueled by cheese, bread, and café comme late. Sometimes the city outside my cracked window echoed with the cruel voices from home. They had become internal, hard to ignore. I made mistakes. My first models were clumsy, smeared with excess glue and drooping at the corners. Critics called my style unsophisticated, not marketable. There was no comfort, only a challenge: prove yourself. My hands shook during my first major presentation, the paper cutter slicing my thumb as well as the cardboard, but I learned, I watched, I forced myself to approach the professors who intimidated me, asked questions no one else had dared. I started each day early. I took side jobs drafting for anyone who'd pay, a bakery here, a repairman there. Every real-world sketch sharpened my sense for what people actually cherished in their living spaces, not what designers thought they should want. One warm night, I found myself on a construction site, helping a friend assemble a pop-up gallery for a student project. The moon hung low behind clouds. I felt the breeze cool on my bare arms as we bolted together sheets of corrugated steel. When I finally lay back in the dirt and looked up, I realized I was physically shaping space. I belonged finally to something bigger. Senior year brought a breakthrough. An urban renovation contest sponsored by the prefecture create a plan for reviving an abandoned textile mill on the edge of Mercures. I remembered the abandoned brick skeleton from my childhood, its coldness, the way the walls glowed red in the setting sun. I spent weeks drawing, researching sun angles, traffic flows, social histories. Then I built my model from bits of scrap metal and glass offcuts. The judges loved it. Honors mentions Clarissa Santos, the announcer said, and I stood in front of a packed city hall, nerves burning, hands clammy but smiling. A reporter from a small architecture magazine interviewed me. My name landed in print for the first time. No one from home called to congratulate me. That hurt more than I wanted to admit, but my reputation trickled up. The right professor recommended me to a local firm, and from there I climbed slow, cautious, determined. I started with layouts for bathrooms, moved to facades. I listened to bricklayers, I learned from widows who missed their gardens. I designed from the inside out, thinking always of warmth, light, and softness. Years passed. I built a small reputation across Curitiba, slowly moving from cramped apartments to bold, public libraries. Eventually, an international competition for social housing called for my touch. For months, every day was focused, draw, revise, present. In the final round, my concept, a modular home system, inspired by the interplay of shadows under jacaranda trees, was selected. They sent me to Sao Paulo to accept the award. I looked out at the audience, the applause reflecting off marble columns, and wished my mother could see it. Not for her pride, but for the sharp taste of being seen finally in my entirety. The story made its way back to my neighborhood. A puffed-up newspaper article under a slightly wrong photograph wound up in my grandmother's living room. Someone told me Marissa hung it on the fridge. What would that mean if I visited? The thought haunted me through empty hotel rooms and early morning taxi rides until the ache swallowed my resistance. That first autumn Sunday back, the air was crisp. The city's green filtered softly through the morning haze, as if everything in Curitiba was touched by the same gentle hand. I parked on the far end of the street, behind a lopsided delivery truck, and walked slowly, feeling each uneven pavement brick underfoot. The bakery on the corner still served a mix of bread and cigarettes. I ordered a pão de queijo for courage. From the house I could already hear the laughter, louder now, a little raspy. My heart pounded up into my throat. I hesitated at the iron gate, then pressed my palm to the chipped paint and entered. Inside, everything was smaller than I remembered, ceilings closed, furniture crammed together as if trying to keep warm. My mother looked thinner, hair streaked white. She squeezed me tight, eyes watering, then released me as if embarrassed by the display. My father hovered in the doorway, uncertain, then offered an awkward hug. The dinner was the same, a patchwork of plates, elbows, and stories. The cousins were older. Marissa had a toddler balanced on her hip who stared at me solemnly. The conversation churned around me. I smiled, listening, but waited for my moment, for the temperature of the room to shift. Tio Elissa cleared his throat and pointed his fork at me. So, Senora Arkwhite tak crazy. Still building castles in the sky. My hands shook, but I steadied them beneath the table. I smiled. I built something real this time. I reached for my bag and pulled out a glossy magazine, the cover story on my housing project, alongside a folder of photographs. The prefecture invited me to help with the renovation project in our neighborhood. I'm heading up the designs. A hush fell. Marissa, glancing over her son's head, said, "You mean here, our street?" I nodded, spreading the images out. Detailed, colorful renderings of communal gardens, light-filled apartments, a redesigned corner park. Tio Elissa took a picture, squinting. "Wait, that's the old textile mill. You're, what, rebuilding it?" "Yes." As a community space and affordable housing, I met his eyes. Our city deserves more than just patched-together buildings, homes where people want to live with sunlight, gardens, play areas, places for families. For kids like yours, Marissa. Cousin Raphael whistled, "That's big, Clarissa." For a second, no one spoke. Then my father picked up a photo, fingers trembling slightly. "You did all this." "I led the project." "I worked with a team, but yes," my voice wasn't trembling now. My Aunt Ivan's face softened. "Looks beautiful, querida, like something you'd see in Europe." "I want to build it here," I swallowed. "I want you to see it." The city gave us their support. The mayor will be at the groundbreaking. My mother covered her mouth, eyes shimmering. You did it. I didn't know what to say, I just nodded. But the pride that settled in the room, hesitant, like sunlight finding its way, was almost enough. A month later they all came, grandmother, uncle, cousins, even the neighbors who used to mimic my scribbles. The groundbreaking was a feast of nerves, a red ribbon, an official with a microphone, my colleagues beaming in their dress shirts. The city's press crowded into the muddy yard, flowers and dust swirling in the early wind. When I was called forward, Tio Elissa stood just behind the rope. For a moment our eyes met and he nodded, just once, a small gesture that meant everything. I spoke, voice steady, "This will be more than walls. It will be sunlight, safety, gardens. It will be a beginning. I know not everyone understood my dream, but I built this for you, for all of us, to show that something beautiful can grow where everyone else sees ruins." As the cameras flashed and officials applauded, I reached back, pulling my mother and Marissa to my side, handing them shovels for the ceremonial broken ground. At that moment the sun broke loose from the clouds, rolling gold across the bricks and scaffolding, and I felt my fear twist into something gentler, relief maybe, or the sharp joy of being seen at last. The skepticism, the years of loneliness and effort had led me precisely here, home where my dream touched earth, and people saw not just what I had made, but what I had always hoped for us all. Later, as my family walked the muddy site, laughing and pointing at the model, I lingered at the perimeter and watched them, their voices tangled with hammers, clinking pipes, the city's living heartbeat. Marissa turned back, her son on her shoulders, and waved for me to join. This time I didn't hesitate. I crossed the grass, boots streaked with red clay, heart open as the sky.